What if the world isn't happening to you, but responding to you? Pause on that thought, because this is where everything begins. You've been taught to believe that reality is solid, fixed, and indifferent to your presence, that the events of your life unfold whether you notice them or not. But the deeper truth, the one both quantum physics and ancient wisdom whisper, is this: the moment you observe reality, you shape it. The act of watching changes what is seen. This is not philosophy, it is physics. In the famous double-slit experiment, particles of light behaved like infinite possibilities, waves stretching in all directions. But the instant an observer watched, those waves collapsed into a single form, a single outcome. Reality itself bent to the presence of awareness. And here's the revelation. The same is true of your life. You are not just an actor moving through scenes already written. You are the observer whose gaze determines which version of the script will collapse into reality. Every thought, every glance, every expectation is a silent command that tells the quantum field what to become. Think about it. Two people walk into the same room, yet one sees rejection and the other sees opportunity. The room is the same, but the observer is different. Their reality collapses not from the room itself, but from the lens through which they perceive it. And you, every day, are doing the same thing. The way you look at your relationships determines whether you see love or lack. The way you observe your finances determines whether you collapse scarcity or abundance. Even the way you look at yourself in the mirror determines which version of you comes alive. But here's the catch. You've been watching unconsciously. Most of your life, your observer has been trained by old beliefs, childhood memories, cultural programming. You've been gazing at the world through the eyes of the past, collapsing the same reality again and again. This is why patterns repeat. This is why cycles feel unbreakable. Not because life is against you, but because your observation has been rehearsed, habitual, automatic. You keep collapsing the same outcomes because you keep watching from the same lens. Yet in this moment, right now, you are waking up. You are realizing that you are not trapped inside the movie. You are the one holding the camera. The angle shifts when you shift. The focus sharpens when you choose it. And the story changes when you change what you see. So pause, breathe, and notice this truth. Reality has never been solid. It has always been fluid, waiting for you to observe it differently, waiting for you to see beyond the patterns of the past, waiting for you to step into the role you were always meant to play, not as a passive participant, but as the conscious observer, the deliberate creator. And in that realization, something awakens. You begin to see that the world you've been living in was not imposed upon you. It was chosen, collapsed, and shaped by the way you've been watching. Now the question becomes, will you keep watching unconsciously? Or will you finally learn to watch with awareness? Because the moment you realize you're watching is the moment everything changes. This is the secret few ever realize. The world is not a punishment, not a random series of events, not an indifferent stage. It is a mirror showing you, again and again, the frequency you carry within. Quantum physics calls it resonance. Spiritual teachers call it reflection. Neuroscience calls it selective perception. But the truth is simple. Where your focus goes, energy flows and reality follows. Think about how your mind works. When you decide to buy a new car, you suddenly see it everywhere. When you fall in love, the world seems brighter, colors more vivid, music more meaningful. Nothing outside you changed. Your focus did. And because your focus changed, the mirror of reality reflected it back. Now imagine what happens when you focus on fear. You begin to notice reasons to worry, people who seem untrustworthy, signs that the worst may happen. Focus on lack, and you'll see doors closed, opportunities missed, money slipping away. Focus on resentment, and suddenly, life seems filled with proof that people cannot be trusted. This is not coincidence. It is the observer effect expressed in daily life. Your attention is not neutral. It is an instruction to the quantum field. Every thought you feed, every emotion you charge with energy ripples outward, then bounces back into your experience like an echo. It's like standing before a mirror and frowning, then blaming the reflection for not smiling. But the mirror cannot give you anything you do not bring to it first. Reality is the same. It does not punish you. It reflects you. Consider two people walking through the same city street. One sees chaos, danger, and reasons to feel unsafe. The other sees opportunity, beauty, and reasons to feel alive. The street is the same. What changes is the observer's state of focus, and that state pulls back a matching version of reality. Here's the breakthrough. When you understand that reality is a mirror, you stop fighting the reflection. You stop blaming the external world for what is simply echoing your internal state. Instead, you begin to shift the only place you ever had control: your focus, your frequency, your attention. So ask yourself, what am I rehearsing with my attention? What mirror am I unconsciously polishing each day? The moment you withdraw your gaze from fear, lack, and resentment and redirect it toward gratitude, abundance, and possibility, the mirror cannot help but change. It must reflect back the new observer you have become, because reality does not show you what you want. It shows you what you are watching, and when you master where you place your attention, you master the reflection. You think you are watching the world through your conscious eyes, the choices you make, the words you speak, the things you focus on each day. But beneath that surface lives another observer, quiet yet unrelenting: your subconscious mind. Neuroscience tells us that up to 95% of your thoughts, actions, and emotions are governed by subconscious programs. Patterns installed when you were a child, impressions from repeated experiences, beliefs absorbed from your environment. Long after you forget them, they remain etched in neural pathways, silently running the show. It's like an invisible lens placed over your vision. You believe you are freely observing life, but in truth, your subconscious is filtering what you see, shaping the possibilities you allow, and collapsing outcomes on your behalf. Think about the last time you reacted to a situation before you even knew why. Someone criticizes you, and instantly your body tightens, your defenses rise, and anger surfaces. You tell yourself, "That's just who I am." But it's not who you are. It's who you've been programmed to be. Your subconscious was watching long before your conscious mind caught up. Or consider this. Two people apply for the same opportunity. One believes deep down, "I don't deserve this." The other carries the belief, "I was born for this." The subconscious observer of each person shapes the outcome. One unconsciously sabotages, hesitating, shrinking back. The other radiates certainty, drawing in the result. The field does not respond to what they say, it responds to the vibration of their hidden observer. Here's the paradox: you are not fully in control until you awaken to what has been controlling you. Your subconscious is like an unseen projector, playing the same old film onto the screen of reality. You think the story is repeating because life is unfair. But the truth is, the reel has been spinning the same script inside you all along. Spiritual, psychology, and quantum philosophy agree. The subconscious is not your enemy. It is a faithful servant. It does not choose, it obeys. Whatever patterns you impress upon it with repetition, with emotion, with focus, it accepts as truth. And then it watches for you. It collapses possibilities into form, not from what you consciously desire, but from what you unconsciously believe. This is why transformation cannot begin only with positive thinking. You can say, "I am abundant," 1,000 times, but if your subconscious is still observing through the lens of lack, the mirror of reality will return lack. The field listens to the deepest observer, not the loudest words. So here is your awakening. Until you bring the subconscious I into awareness, you will keep reliving old chapters, mistaking them for fate. But once you learn to reprogram this hidden observer through mindfulness, repetition, and emotional coherence, you reclaim the power that was always yours. Because the subconscious is not fixed. It is plastic, moldable, willing to shift. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity. Spirit calls it rebirth. You call it freedom. And the moment you realize that even in silence, even in autopilot, something within you is always watching, is the moment you step into the deeper truth. You can choose what your hidden eye sees, and in doing so, you can choose what your reality becomes. What if every version of your life already exists, and your attention is what chooses which one you live? This is not fantasy. This is physics. In the quantum field, particles do not exist as fixed objects. They exist as waves of probability, infinite potentials suspended in possibility, waiting for the observer to choose. The moment consciousness looks, the wave collapses. Possibility becomes actuality. Infinity becomes one. This is what scientists discovered in the double-slit experiment. When no one was watching, light behaved as a wave, spreading into every potential path. But the instant an observer measured, the wave collapsed into a particle, a single outcome. Observation sculpted reality. And here's the truth most people never realize. Your life is no different. Every morning, you awaken into a field of infinite possibilities. There is a version of you who chooses courage and a version who chooses fear. A version of you who lives in abundance and a version who repeats lack. A version of you who heals and a version who suffers. All of them exist as probabilities until your observer collapses them into form. But how do you collapse? Through expectation, through belief, through the lens you carry into each moment. If you expect rejection, you unconsciously act in ways that create it. If you believe money is scarce, you overlook opportunities standing right in front of you. If you believe love is unsafe, you sabotage intimacy before it can bloom. These are not random outcomes. They are collapses, waves reduced into particles by the observer within you. Think of two people standing before the same unopened door. One expects opportunity, and so they knock with confidence. The other expects disappointment, and so they hesitate, retreat, and walk away. The door is the same, but only one collapses the reality of walking through it. This is the paradox. Reality does not wait for you to deserve it. It waits for you to observe it, which means you are the artist. At the moment of collapse, your brush is belief, your paint is emotion, your canvas is the infinite field. And every thought, every focus, every expectation becomes a stroke that collapses one outcome from the wave of all possible outcomes. Here is your awakening. Life is not predetermined. It is pre-potential. You are not at the mercy of chance. You are at the mercy of your own observation. And the moment you shift your expectations, you shift the collapse. So pause and feel this truth. Infinite versions of your life are still shimmering in the field, waiting. The question is not whether they exist. The question is, which one will you observe into being? What if the real power of your observation isn't in your eyes, but in your heart? Here's the truth. Attention alone directs energy, but emotion determines the frequency of that energy. You don't just observe reality, you charge it. You imprint the quantum field not only with what you look at, but with the feeling you bring to the looking. This is why two people can hold the same thought, yet create entirely different outcomes. One says, "I am abundant," while carrying fear in their chest, doubt in their stomach, tension in their breath. The field hears the frequency of fear, not the words of abundance. Another says, "I am abundant," and their body resonates with gratitude, joy, expansion. The field responds to that frequency, and abundance arrives. Neuroscience confirms it. Emotions are not just abstract moods, they are biochemical signatures. Each thought triggers a cascade of neurochemicals, which create the feeling you experience in your body. And that feeling, repeated often enough, becomes a state of being. States of being broadcast energy. Your body becomes a tuning fork, emitting signals that the field mirrors back. In spiritual language, this is vibration. In scientific language, this is frequency. In lived experience, this is why your life reflects how you feel more than what you say. Think about this in your daily life. You walk into a room after a long, stressful day, and even before you speak, people can sense your heaviness. Conversations feel strained, opportunities seem distant, the world seems gray. The same room, the same people, yet another day you enter with joy, and suddenly faces light up, conversations open, opportunities appear. Nothing changed on the outside. The shift was within you. Your emotional frequency shaped the reflection. Here's the paradox. You cannot fake frequency. You cannot plaster positive thoughts over negative emotions and expect the mirror to change. The field does not respond to words alone. It responds to coherence. When thought and feeling align, when your inner world is vibrating in harmony, the quantum field collapses possibilities in resonance with that vibration. This is why teachers like Joe Dispenza say that gratitude for the future, feeling as if it has already happened, becomes the magnet for its arrival. Gratitude is not just an emotion, it is a frequency that tells the field this reality already exists. So what does this mean for you? It means your task is not only to observe with awareness, but to fuel that observation with emotion, to become conscious of the feeling tone you bring into each moment, to shift from fear into trust, from lack into gratitude, from tension into presence. Because when you master emotion, you master frequency. And when you master frequency, reality bends to match it. Here is your awakening. Your observation is not neutral. It is alive, it vibrates, it attracts. The field is listening not just to what you see, but to how you feel when you see it. And when thought and emotion merge, when your observation is charged with the frequency of love, gratitude, and possibility, then the universe cannot help but mirror it back. Because emotion is not just how you experience reality. Emotion is how you create it. What if the most powerful thing you can change is not what you see, but who is doing the seeing? Because the observer effect is not just about focus, it's about identity. You are not simply looking through your eyes. You are looking through the story of who you believe yourself to be. And that story becomes the lens through which the entire field of possibility collapses. Identity is the filter of perception. If you believe you are unworthy, then no matter how brightly opportunities shine, your lens will dim them. If you believe you are powerful, then even in the face of obstacles, you will find paths others cannot see. It is not reality that changes. It is the self who is observing. Think of this. Two people walk into the same interview room. One carries the identity of, "I am not enough," and every gesture reflects it. The slouched shoulders, the hesitations, the nervous words. The other walks in with the identity of, "I am valuable, I belong here." And every movement mirrors that belief, the confident posture, the steady voice, the unshaken presence. The interviewer may not consciously know why, but reality collapses, differently for each. One walks away rejected, the other walks away chosen. The world did not change, the lens of identity did. Neuroscience calls this the self-concept, a network of memories, emotions, and beliefs wired into your brain. Spiritual psychology calls it the mask of the ego, a persona you've rehearsed so long that you mistake it for who you are. Quantum philosophy calls it the observer lens, the identity that collapses possibility into form. Here's the paradox. You cannot create a reality beyond the self you currently believe yourself to be. If you keep saying, "I want abundance," while carrying the identity of lack, the field mirrors lack. If you say, "I want love," while carrying the identity of unworthiness, the field mirrors loneliness. You don't get what you want, you get who you are being. This is why teachers like Bob Proctor spoke of the paradigm, the hidden identity that shapes all results. Until you shift the paradigm, you repeat the cycle. So how do you shift? By choosing a new lens. By rehearsing not just new thoughts, but a new self. Through visualization, embodiment, and practice, you begin to inhabit the identity of the one who already lives the reality you desire. And as you wear this new lens long enough, the field responds. Reality reshapes to match the self who is watching it. Here is your awakening. You are not stuck with the lens you inherited. Identity is not fixed, it is chosen. The moment you shift who you are being, you shift what you are seeing. Because reality does not bend to your words. It bends to your sense of self. And when you choose a higher identity, the entire universe reorganizes to confirm it. What if the life you are living right now is not destiny, but a script written long ago? From the moment you were born, impressions began etching themselves into your subconscious mind. Every word you heard, every look you received, every moment of praise or rejection was stored, layer by layer, until it became the hidden script guiding your choices. You think you are deciding freely, but often it is the subconscious I, the unseen observer, that is collapsing reality on your behalf. Neuroscience reveals that the subconscious is not mystical, it is practical. It is the brain's automation system, designed to run habits without conscious effort. Up to 95% of your daily life is controlled by programs you did not choose, beliefs about money, love, worth, and possibility. You replay them unconsciously, and reality obliges, reflecting them back again and again. But here is the miracle. The script is not permanent. It can be rewritten. Through neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, you can install new patterns. Just as repetition etched the old story into you, repetition can etch a new one. Every visualization, every affirmation, every emotionally charged rehearsal tells the subconscious, "This is who I am now." And the subconscious, faithful servant that it is, obeys. Think of it like a theater. For years, the same play has been performed on your stage. The actors know their lines. The scenes repeat without change. But you are not the actor, you are the playwright. You can write a new script, cast new roles, and change the ending. All it takes is awareness, intention, and practice. Consider a simple example. Two people both grew up hearing, "Money is scarce." One accepts this script without question and spends life collapsing realities of lack. The other, through mindful awareness, notices the script, interrupts it, and begins rehearsing a new identity. "I am worthy of wealth. Money flows easily to me." At first it feels false, but through visualization, journaling, and gratitude, the new lines become familiar. Over time, the subconscious accepts the role and reality reshapes to fit. Spiritual psychology agrees, your subconscious is like fertile soil. Whatever seeds you plant, through repeated thought and emotion, will grow. Plant fear, and fear multiplies. Plant possibility, and possibility blooms. The soil does not judge, it only obeys. This is why teachers like Joe Dispenza emphasize meditation and elevated emotion, not as rituals, but as tools to recondition the subconscious. When you quiet the conscious mind and imprint the subconscious with a new emotional reality, the hidden observer begins to collapse different outcomes. Here is your awakening. The subconscious is not your prison, it is your partner. And the moment you take back the pen, the script changes. So stop reciting the lines you were given. Begin rehearsing the lines you choose. Repeat them, embody them, feel them until they become automatic. Because when the subconscious eye aligns with your conscious intent, your hidden observer becomes your greatest ally. And reality, faithful as always, will mirror back the new story you have chosen to live. Creation does not begin with effort. It begins with stillness. The world has trained you to believe that motion equals progress, that the louder you push, the faster you arrive. But the truth is quieter. The universe itself was not born from noise, but from silence, an infinite field of nothingness pregnant with possibility. Quantum physics calls this the field of superposition, the space where every outcome exists until observed. Spiritual traditions call it the void, the gap, the silence between thoughts. Both point to the same paradox. Nothingness is not empty. It is everything, waiting. When you withdraw from reaction, when you step back from the constant commentary of the mind, you return to this stillness. In that silence, the old patterns dissolve. The subconscious loosens its grip. And for a moment, you are no longer rehearsing yesterday's script. You are resting in pure awareness, the raw potential of being. Think of the double-slit experiment. When the particles are not observed, they remain a wave of infinite possibilities. The moment an observer enters, the wave collapses into a single point. Now imagine that your constant mental chatter, your endless reactions, are like an observer collapsing reality again and again into the same familiar form. But when you enter stillness, you step back from observation. You allow life to remain a wave, open, infinite, undefined. And from that openness, you can choose again. Consider a real example. Two people both face the same setback, a job rejection. One immediately reacts, spiraling into self-doubt, collapsing the wave into a story of, "I am not enough." The other pauses. They sit in silence. They breathe. They wait. In the stillness, instead of collapsing into old identity, they hold, the field open long enough to sense a new path, an opportunity they would have missed if they reacted. This is the power of stillness. It is not passivity. It is not escape. It is mastery. Modern neuroscience agrees. In meditation, the brain moves from high beta, stress and survival, into alpha and theta, states of deep presence and imagination. Here, the body begins to heal. The mind begins to expand. You stop firing the same neural circuits of fear and start wiring new ones of peace, clarity, and vision. Teachers like Joe Dispenza remind us, you cannot create a new future from the emotions of the past. To break free, you must enter the unknown. And the unknown always begins in stillness. Here is your invitation. Allow yourself to stop, to close your eyes, to rest not in reaction but in presence. To listen not for answers, but for silence. Because in that silence, you will discover something profound. You are not the thought. You are not the story. You are the awareness in which all of it arises. And from that awareness, you can choose again. You can collapse a new reality, not from fear, not from habit, but from the infinite stillness where creation truly begins. You were never meant to drift through life unconsciously. You were meant to observe deliberately. Here's the paradox. Reality doesn't just respond to what you want. It responds to who you are being when you want it. When awareness, emotion, and identity align, you stop being a passive witness and begin walking as a deliberate creator, an observer who chooses what collapses from the quantum field. Think of the double-slit experiment again. When there is no conscious attention, particles behave like waves, possibility everywhere. The instant they are observed, they crystallize into form. Now imagine that every moment of your life is like that experiment. Your attention is the measurement device. Wherever it goes, reality solidifies. And if your attention is scattered, on fear, on worry, on lack, those are the probabilities you collapse. But when your attention is intentional, infused with elevated emotion, aligned with the identity you choose, you collapse beauty, opportunity, healing. This is the art of becoming the deliberate observer. Consider this real-life example. Two people walk into the same room full of strangers. The first holds the identity of "I am invisible." Their attention scans only for proof of rejection, and their reality mirrors it back. The second enters with the identity of "I am magnetic." Their attention is deliberate, resting on connection, warmth, and openness. And the field responds. Conversations unfold, smiles appear. The same environment, two completely different realities, because of the quality of observation. Neuroscience supports this truth. The reticular activating system in your brain filters reality based on what you believe and expect. If you decide to buy a red car, suddenly you see red cars everywhere. They were always there, but now your attention collapses them into your awareness. The same law applies to abundance, love, or healing. Life is not hiding it from you. You simply were not looking through the lens of a deliberate observer. But here's the deeper shift. It's not just about seeing. It's about being. Joe Dispenza teaches that the future you desire requires you to become the person who already lives it. That means your identity, emotions, and thoughts must converge now, not someday. When you walk as that version of yourself, in daily life, you're not waiting for reality to prove it. You're observing deliberately, and the quantum field has no choice but to align. So what does this look like in practice? It's pausing before reacting, asking, what reality am I collapsing with this thought? It's choosing to dwell not on the absence of love, but on the feeling of love itself. It's observing abundance instead of lack, gratitude instead of grievance. Day by day, choice by choice, you condition your subconscious to serve your conscious intent. And then, something shifts. You no longer feel like life is happening to you. You realize it is happening through you, through your observation, your emotion, your identity. Here is your awakening. You are not a passenger in this universe. You are the one holding the lens, the one collapsing the wave, the one shaping the field. To become the deliberate observer is to live as the architect of your reality, awake, intentional, free. What if the roles reversed? What if reality itself began watching you? Here's the truth. The moment you embody awareness, the universe no longer feels separate from you. The field does not just respond, it mirrors back, it reflects, it witnesses. You realize the observer effect was never one-directional. The quantum field is alive with reciprocity. You observe it, and in turn, it observes you. Think of a mirror. When you gaze into it, it does not invent your face, it reveals it. In the same way, life reveals not what you demand, but what you embody. When you live as lack, the mirror shows absence. When you live as love, the mirror floods you with connection. When you live as the deliberate observer, reality itself leans forward to meet you. This is the paradox. You spent so much of your life trying to get the world to notice you, to validate you, to give you proof that you mattered. But the moment you stepped into conscious observation, something astonishing happened. You no longer needed the world to see you, because you saw yourself. And in that very act, the world began to reflect it back. Imagine this: a woman who once felt invisible in her career shifts her identity to "I am a leader." She carries herself differently, not waiting for permission. She observes herself as capable, creative, worthy. Within weeks, opportunities appear that had always been there, but hidden from her perception. Her colleagues now see her, not because she changed them, but because she first changed how she observed herself. Reality watched her through the lens she chose. Quantum physics whispers the same truth. In the double-slit experiment, observation collapses the wave into a particle. But here's the twist: the environment of observation also influences the outcome. It is not just that you watch reality, it is that reality responds by adjusting itself to the very act of your being, Joe. Dispenza reminds us, your personality creates your personal reality. Once you shift your identity, you no longer chase reality. It starts arranging itself to match you. You become magnetic. Life organizes around your coherence. The field observes the frequency you emit and delivers back its echo. And this is the final awakening. Reality is not a stage where you are a lone actor under a spotlight, begging to be seen. Reality itself is the audience, the mirror, the co-creator. When you walk in alignment, it reflects the fullness of your becoming. When you collapse possibility with deliberate observation, the field returns the favor. It begins observing you as the one who has become. You are no longer a seeker. You are no longer waiting for proof. You have mastered the observer effect, and in doing so, you are both the one who watches and the one who is watched. Both the mirror and the reflection. Both creator and creation. This is the reality that now watches you.